So you went.
That voyage.
Nearly 5 years.
To the uttermost ends of the earth and back.
We used to long for your letters.
I tried to convey something of the wonder of it all. It was like...
being admitted into nature's library.
Did I write that?
You did.
I must have been referring to the Brazilian rainforest. The glossy green of the foliage. The sheer luxuriance of the vegetation. I had Lyell's Principles of Geology with me. It was just out. What a book. I lived and ate and dreamed it. At Punta Alta in Argentina, I made my first discovery. Over days and weeks, we exposed the remains of what turned out to be a megatherium, a huge ground-living relative of the sloth. By now I was thinking, questioning, how had the remains arrived there? How were the gravels in which they were embedded formed? What forces had been at work? It was only when I returned to England that I saw there was a greater mystery. These remains were giant versions of familiar living creatures, so similar that there must be some link between them. But what? There were puzzles everywhere, some set by spectacular finds like the megatherium, others by the smallest, apparently almost humdrum objects. It's a fossilized horse's tooth. I found it when I was with the gauchos in Argentina.
Where's the puzzle?
Well, it's known that the horse was introduced into South America by the Spanish conquistadors in the 15th century. Yet there, in my hand, out in the pampas, was proof that at some time in the distant past, horses had roamed there. What had happened to them? How had they been made extinct? You know how throughout the voyage I never found my sea legs and suffered agonies of seasickness?
However, did you put up with it?
I was younger then. The point is that when I was in the Andes, I was astonished and not a little dismayed to find myself subject to the same symptoms. What I found up there, fossilized seashells. Seashells so excited my thoughts as to prove a miraculous cure to my ailment. They were a little less pleasing to my friend, Captain Fitzroy, master of the Beagle. Ask yourself, how is it possible to find the remains of seashells at the top of a mountain range, unless at some time in the distant past, those same mountaintops were at sea level?
I was brought up to believe that some few thousand years ago, at the time of Noah's flood, the sea rose violently up and drowned the South American continent. When it receded, traces were left behind.
You really think that explains it?
How do you explain it?
It came about over vast stretches of time, by processes with which you and I are only too familiar. Concepcion. When we sailed into the harbor, or rather what was left of it.
Earthquake.
Exactly. I found mussel beds lying above the high tide mark. The land had risen by several feet. Imagine, millions of small changes of the same kind over millions of years.
So, the biblical account in Genesis is wrong. What I was taught to believe is wrong. Be careful, philosopher.
But it was you yourself who gave me Lyell's book. I thought you accepted his ideas.
What I accept or don't accept, what I believe or don't believe isn't the point at issue. The danger in what you say is that it undermines the truth of Scripture. It's an axe to the root of the faith by which men lead their lives and which sustains our whole society.
William, we've gone, what, 3 years without quarreling. Let's not spoil the record now.
I'm not a literalist. I don't believe that a 40 days flood could have raised this to the height of the Andes. I'm just issuing a warning, a friendly warning. When you attack the Bible, you cause great pain and arouse great anger. Well, I have business to attend to ashore.
He misunderstood me. I wasn't attacking the Bible. I was only raising the question of whether Scripture needs to be taken as science, or whether it can be regarded as dealing with other realms entirely. It was a perfectly reasonable question.
People don't see it that way. When they hear the Bible attacked, they do feel great pain and they are greatly angered.